Now, the key to a successful salary negotiation conversation is having explicit evidence to support what you're asking for. So you cannot say, hey, you're offering me 40 grand and I want 50 grand. You need to have evidence to support what you're asking. So number one, you need to do research. What does the average person within this specific region make for this type of role? Number two, you want to also consider what makes someone an average candidate, what makes someone a superior candidate or an extremely competitive candidate, and what makes someone an entry-level candidate. So when you look at average salaries, it's not just about this is the average compilation of what all people in this area have reported. Organizations are going to extend you salaries based on where you rank as far as competitiveness. So are you coming in as qualified? Are you coming in as competitive? Are you coming in as overqualified? Where do you rank in that scale? So if the average competitive administrative assistant has 3 years of experience building up to what is essential for someone to perform the administrative assistant functions, meaning administrative assistant functions may be project management, calendar management, relationship building, data entry, filing. There's going to be so many different qualifications, knowledge, skills, abilities, and competencies that make someone qualified to be an administrative assistant. So are you coming in as someone who's gotten all these qualifications doing functions that are different from administrative assistants? Meaning, I worked in a call center for 3 years and now I'm ready for an administrative assistant position. You would not be considered the average candidate. You would be considered a qualified candidate. So for you to say $40,000 is not sufficient and base what you want off of the average salary for that region, unacceptable. Now, if you have 4 or 5 years of experience, maybe you've worked at a call center for 3 years, and then you were a receptionist for a year, and then maybe you were an administrative assistant for a year. Well, then in addition to that, you have some type of education or some type of certification, whether that be just a certification, whether that be an associate's degree, just something extra. Then you will be considered competitive, and a competitive candidate can ask for more. Now, you also want to consider, am I overqualified for this position? Am I asking for a recruiter or an organization to pay me for services and skills that will not be used in this role? If that is the case, then you may want to consider, what is your motivation for working at this company? Are you coming in this company because they have opportunities that align with your long-term career goals and you want to be an internal applicant and you want to build relationships? Or are you seeking work and this is the only company that's called you back? So if I'm offering you 40 grand and you're an overqualified candidate and you come and say, hey, I want to make 55 grand because I have my master's degree. It is not my problem that your master's degree is not being utilized by you. It's not my problem that, you have this master's degree and you don't have master's level experience to go with it. So if you were to say, hey, you're offering 40 grand, but I do have my master's degree, which I think will be extremely beneficial. In the job description, it specifically states that, you want us to perform XYZ. Fundamentally, in my master's degree program, I mastered XYZ. Demonstration of that mastery is in my transcript where I received A's in all of these courses, and I think that would be extremely beneficial to you. With that in mind, I'm asking, could you potentially increase the offer to $47,500? That is reasonable because it's still within the scope of what a company would customarily pay an administrative assistant in that region. So you want to kind of be mindful in your salary negotiations. Now, big do not do's. So oftentimes I get messages from people that are asking me, what do I do after I have already given them a salary goal or a salary request, and now I change my mind because I think I can get more? So I want to give you just an analogy. Imagine going out to eat and a restaurant preparing your food. You had a great experience. You've eaten the food, and on your way out the door, the restaurant says, hey, I know that meal was $25, but I think that it was worth $50. That would completely turn you off, and you would probably never eat there again. It's the same thing. So before you shoot off a quick answer about salary, you should ask these questions of yourself and these questions of the recruiter. Number one, have you done the research on what the customary scale from entry level, qualified to overqualified for that specific region, for that specific field, title, or company? Have you had the opportunity to look at their job board and see opportunities that rank below and above the position that you've applied for, and done your research on what those positions pay and what the potential salary scale for those positions are? Have you fully read the requirements for the position, specifically the qualifications, the education, the skills, the years of experience, the certifications, whatever they are requiring? How many of them do you possess? In order to say that you're a competitive candidate, you should be in the 90 percentile when we speak in terms of what qualifications you have with regard to what they're asking for. So if there's a list of 10 things and you have 9 out of those 10, then you could justifiably ask for a more competitive salary. If you have 3 or 4 out of those 10, then you probably want to be very cautious about asking for more money. Now remember, employers pay their employees based off of the skills that they contribute, their qualifications, and their budget. It is not an employer's responsibility to pay you with regard to what your personal earning goals are. So a lot of times I see people who say, I've got 10 years of experience, I want $75K. Okay, so plausibly, when I hear that initially, I'm entertaining the conversation, but when I look at the experience, it's call center. You were a janitor for 3 years. You don't have any education. You don't have any specific results where you've worked at a company for more than 3 years and you moved up. So these are things that we consider. Is this person a job hopper? Yes, I'm going to offer a job hopper less of a salary than I'm going to offer someone who's demonstrated a stable career history. So these are things that we consider, and you just have to be real with yourself about the profile that you're presenting, what you want, and is that realistic for someone who has your skill set and your education. Also, you have to consider total rewards. So you may have a company that is paying you 40 grand and another company that's offering you 43.5, and you may want to say, hey, I'm going to take the 43.5, but what are the hours of that position? How much is the health insurance? How many days off do you get? What type of equipment are they using? These are all factors that you have to consider. So the takeaways from this conversation are, you need to do a realistic analysis of what you're offering versus what the company is asking you for. You need to specifically do research to determine what is the average pay for this field, and am I average, above average, or below average? Next, you need to ask, how much time do I have to respond to this offer? Give yourself at least 24 hours to think about how much you want to get paid and how much you want to ask for before giving them that information, because once it's submitted, once you put your bid in, that is it. It is totally unprofessional and a total turnoff to change your mind.